What's up, motherfuckers? Dr. Evil Genius here representing the Talking Shit podcast. How are you doing this evening?
Oh, it's Captain Paul, man. I'm doing good. I'm just tired as fuck, man. Long day.
I want to talk to the people about your long day, or are you self-aware enough to know that no one gives a shit?
Pretty much self-aware to know nobody really gives a flying fuck. So.
No, seriously. All jokes aside, what happened on the boat today?
Not much, man. Just a few. Like, we did a ship job. We're lightering a barge. We're lightering a ship. So we took fuel off a ship, and then afterwards we went down to New Jersey, Linden, and we're doing a job right now. Got tied up, so it was a long day. So just a lot of walking, a lot of lifting.
All right.
So
yeah, I can't. I don't have. I got nothing. You know, you gotta. Sometimes you just gotta lift shit. You know.
Get strong, you know.
Yeah. Know what I mean.
So what about you?
That's all I do. Like, you know,
Yeah,
I get
shit.
and now that the gyms are open, I'm actually getting my parking back, so that I'm not like, basically arguing with these ticketing agents here in New York City, and so that I can maximize
Well,
my
is
time.
ticketing really bad down there? Like, what? Like, are they not like?
Let me tell you a story. Okay. So the gym opens at about 5:30, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before the pre-Rona. So legal parking does not start until 6 a.m. So
Really?
a lot of us that drive in, we don't actually set up our clients for 5:30 times because we know that we're going to end up getting fucked over. So we know that in the last 10 minutes, a ticketing agent is going to come by. So what we do is we sit in the car with, the engine's on, the lights are on. Like, we don't turn the car off, right? To make it clear, we're in the vehicle, we're waiting for the parking to begin, right? This slimy bitch, I'm telling you, it's like 5:54 a.m. This slimy bitch sneaks up behind me, right? I'm talking about like in a flash. She already has her ticketing gun out, and as she hurries up and does this weird fucking thing to hurry up and turn the gun towards my car's registration sticker to try to hurry up and scan it so that she can give a ticket. The only reason why she moved that fast is because she knew I was sitting there in the car.
Wow.
The only thing she had to tell me is, well, I'm saying you can't sit here. Right?
That's wild.
Like,
is it?
But she knew what she was doing. She knew what she was doing.
Yo, she was living or dying for that shit.
She And the thing is, she wonders why she's got no husband and no friends.
Damn.
Okay.
Did you confront her?
Hell yeah, I did. Oh,
Yo.
if I let you just sit there, it's a courtesy. What the fuck are you telling me that for?
A courtesy. What the fuck?
You're gonna talk to me about some fucking courtesy that you didn't even intend to give. What the fuck are you gonna say that for?
Yo.
And you know me, I say what needs to be said. There is a reason why no one likes you. There is a reason why. Instead of you being at home, preparing your husband for his day of work, you're out before 6 a.m. trying to piss people off. There's a reason why you have no husband, ma'am.
Yo, what did she say? Yo, what did she say? She just like stomp off, or?
Yeah. What the fuck else is she gonna do?
Fuck, man.
Okay. And I guess it's kind of an interesting segue because, you could say, technically, Dr. Evil, it says no parking, But here in New York City, parking means that you have turned off the engine, the lights are off, and you are not attending. You're not attending the vehicle. So a lot of the times you can get away in no parking zones simply by standing next to your car or sitting in your car. She knew, which is why she pulled that sneak tip bullshit. She's going to die alone, so I'm going to get the last laugh in the end. Yes, the city... And the thing is, like, you're not even going to see any of that money, ma'am. Like, none of that money is coming to you.
No.
But, you know, that's cool. Because I'm winning at life, and you're going to die alone. Okay, so... you know, she could have done the right thing in that situation and recognized that there is a driver sitting in the car 5 or 6 minutes before legal parking is available. Okay? She could have done that. All right? Now, you swear that we're going to disagree on this whole Sha'Carri. Please give her a name that means something.
Just Richardson. Just Richardson.
All right, we'll go with Miss Richardson. Okay? The sprinter with the raptor claws attached to the end of her fingers. Okay. As we all know by now, because we're a little bit late covering this, because you know Captain Paul's on a boat.
Yep.
Sha'Carri Richardson is an elite sprinter who I guess she was supposed to run 2 events in the Summer Olympic Games, and she is a 100-meter runner and a 4x100 relay runner. Those are supposed to be, from what I understand, the 2 events that she was supposed to
run for.
Right, she was supposed to participate in. So they found that she had a THC metabolite in her system, not active. It was old metabolites in her system. But nonetheless, it doesn't seem like the IOC banned her, but the US IOC, I guess, did. So,
it became a big debate, right? Because every single talk show I went on to, like I saw, watched, or whatever, most of them, I would probably say about 90% of them said, "Oh, shame on the U.S., shame on them. They should, her mother passed and she was grieving." And so, like, the reason I really want to speak on this is I feel like we're no longer in a society full of accountability. Okay. Like, if you fuck up, that's on you, bro. Don't blame your dead mom. That's my thing. Like, yeah, it sucks. Pass. I never wish them on anyone. But at the same time, like, there's guidelines and rules that you have to follow. You know what I mean? It's like there's other ways and other coping mechanisms to get past the grief. And when I see on these, like, big, First Takes or Undisputed or, various numerous talking heads on ESPN, Fox Sports Net, even on internet, right? They kept being a sympathetic approach to it, saying that she should be allowed. But like, when, like, let's say we grant that, when does it stop? Right? Like, when's it, like, what's allowed, what's not allowed?
Oh, this is a very easy question to answer. It's painfully easy.
And what's that?
Okay, so let me kind of give you my take on it, because like we got your take on, give you my position on it. I agree with you about 80%, about 80%, but the 20% actually overrides the 80 in this case, in my opinion. And here's why. You say, where does it end? Okay, all right. I think that in this case is very obvious because THC is very, very obviously not a performance-enhancing drug. The only reason...
I disagree.
The only reason it is not a stimulant, it is a depressant. It'll actually make you run slower if you're on it. It is not a performance-enhancing drug. Period, point blank. And I'm an anti-marijuana guy. Okay? You're talking to an anti-marijuana guy. All right? So let me take off my bias cap and let's call it what it is. It is a psychoactive medication. Not medication. It's a psychoactive drug that acts as a depressant, not a stimulant. It is not caffeine. Caffeine would be a performance-enhancing drug in that instance. Marijuana does the opposite of what caffeine does. It is not a performance-enhancing drug. Period. Point blank.
You've had professional athletes come out on the record, even just saying like, before games and stuff like that, or before events, that they would smoke because it calmed their nerves. Like it would just relax them. It would help them with their anxiety.
Yeah, we should ban music too, because that calms the nerves of other athletes. You know what? Let's ban cell phones. Let's ban pictures of fathers' kids, because if you focuses them better before they look at it. Before they get into the cage. If you wanted to have the track.
If you wanted to have the conversation of whether it should be legal or not, we can have that discussion. I don't really give a fuck either or. Am I for it? No, I don't. I think smoking in general is just terrible for you.
But here's my problem with the smoking. I don't care if it's terrible for you. I care that it's terrible for the people that are exposed to it afterwards. See, I'm one of these people like this. If you really love marijuana, put it in your fucking brownies and eat that shit, right?
Yeah.
Because if you want to get the THC high, make it where you can get your high, but nobody's exposed to the secondhand smoke on the other end, because that's where I draw the line. Like, I believe that all the drugs should be legal as long as it is in a form that only harms the user and no one else. Because you should have the personal right to put into your body whatever the fuck you want to put into your body. But it should only affect you and no one else.
See, I don't disagree with that. I don't. My personal opinion, I don't give a fucking. I don't give a flying fuck. I don't. Like, do what you want to do in your own life. You should have the right to do what you want to do within reason, right?
Right.
The one of the things though, like, if we're gonna talk about the legalization, I don't care. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs.
Right. It doesn't affect us. So
it doesn't
affect
it.
I don't care.
But at the same time, it was a rule, and she knew it was a rule. And like, I'm sorry, because I guess I have no sympathy, because I work in a workplace where I get drug tested, so I can't do it. So what do I not do? Drugs. How difficult is you think, like, for example, when I had my diagnosis, I didn't feel like doing that? Do you think when, like, my best friend got shot and killed, I didn't feel like doing that?
Well, hold on. How much experience do you have with marijuana?
My buddy Payton smoked and dealed, but that's about it.
That's your experience. I'm asking about your experience.
That's okay, I've never smoked it.
So this is where I gotta push back on you, because it's very, very easy, and I've had to get down off my high horse, and I'm gonna have to kind of guide you off your high horse a little bit, because as men who have never gotten involved with that, we don't have the perspective to know what we would or would not do in certain situations, because we've never exposed ourselves to that. So our version of discipline is going to be different to somebody who has already used that and has felt the effects of it and knows what the effects of that are. So I give you another example. I know that when I'm feeling tired, I'm not going to go to a cup of coffee. Why? Because my brain has not made the connection between energy and coffee, because I've never had coffee before. So if somebody's going to ask me about coffee and my opinions on coffee, I'm going to have to recuse myself from that discussion and or debate, because I don't have a reference point. I've never been through that. So that's where I got to back up. I got to definitely back the fuck up, because you don't know what you would do if your mother died, because she's not dead. So and especially under Miss let me slow down. Sha'Carri Richardson, especially under the circumstances. See, she was probably raised by somebody else, because she found out about, she called her the biological mother, meaning
Right.
that she was taken from this woman's custody at some point. We don't know if her mother gave her up for adoption. She was removed because of abuse. We don't really know that because she hasn't shared that stuff with us. But for the simple fact that you can hear her say the term biological mother, you already know she's got a lot of trauma in her history. Well, I would know that because I have a reference point for that kind of trauma, because I was removed from my mother's care because of extreme child abuse when I was 2 years old.
So,
So to find out through the media that your mother had passed on and you don't even know what you feel or what you're supposed to feel. See, we could talk about, well, rules are rules, and then I got to take you, well, you know that there was a rule that black people couldn't play in the major leagues.
Okay,
right?
Like, calm down.
No, I'm going there. I'm going to go there.
No,
it used to be a rule that black people were property of white people.
It's not,
but
the
just
same.
because it's a rule does not
God.
necessarily mean that it's a good rule.
Listen,
Hey man, they've been calling us 350. Like, they actually in the Constitution refer to black people as being worth 60% of a human being. So people look at black people as if we're genetically superior as far as athletic ability. Like, people really, do you know that most doctors in the United States believe that black people feel less pain than white people do in injury and illness situations? There are some medical professionals that believe that black people have thicker skin than white people. Do you know that actual medical professionals believe that?
Well, yes, but there's idiots in every fucking profession.
But when we're talking about marijuana, and if you go throughout its history, again, I am not pro marijuana, but I know the history. They used the hatred of, they used marijuana as a way to criminalize blackness. They never thought that there was anything wrong. No one has ever overdosed and died from it. Do I hate the marijuana? I absolutely do. I hate the smell of it. I hate how people look when they're on it. I am not pro marijuana. However, I know the facts about marijuana. Now, some people who are pro marijuana will want you to believe it's medicine. It's not. You just want to get high. And that's okay if you just want to get high. That's okay. But what it also isn't, it is not something that is going to kill you as soon as you smell it. You're not going to overdose on it. You're going to overdose on laziness if you keep smoking it. But you're not going to overdose and die from it. And it is not going to make you run faster. So the only reason why it's banned is because there was a federal ban on it. And the only reason why the feds banned it is because, really, honestly and truly, they wanted to ban blackness. Very easy to, but now when you see a whole bunch of white people are token, now you can't just say it's a black drug now, which is why we got crack cocaine in the 70s and 80s, right? The government switched that. And that is actually admitted by the Reagan administration. By high-level cabinet members in the Reagan administration, they admitted that they injected crack cocaine into the black communities because marijuana wasn't doing it to criminalize blackness. So if we actually look at THC, her smoking it a month ago is definitely not going to help her run faster in August. I can guarantee you that.
I get, okay, some of your points, because you're a little bit all over, but I think some of your points are valid regarding the criminalization of it, right? If you just pick up a history book and go through the track record, I'm not going to argue on that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, you knew the rules going into this situation, right? You knew that when you're a part of going for the Olympics, that you're going to get drug tested and it's going to be random. And you have the protocol. I think it's like you can have 2 misses, but you can't miss the third. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So this is my take on it. So maybe, yes, weed I don't have. Jesus, flying back. Weed I don't have familiarity with, but I have familiarity with alcohol. And actually, funny when you said caffeine, I used to be when I worked in the shipyard, I used to drink like 6, 7, 8 cups of coffee a day, like an excessive amount
You
where
were
it
a
was
fucking
actually
drug addict. That's
yeah,
what it was.
exactly. But the thing is,
we
I don't
should
drink
ban
that,
you from the boat, Captain.
but I don't drink it anymore. I think if you have personal discipline and you realize, okay, like I know I can't do that. I know I can't do it. Like it's just we can have a discussion about the criminalization of it or whether people should be able to smoke it, eat it, whatever the fuck it is. But at the same time, it's federally banned. You're not supposed to be ingesting it. That's why I don't feel bad for like the athlete Josh Gordon who kept getting caught smoking weed. It's like, how fucking stupid can you be? It's like,
I don't think I don't think that it was an issue of whether he was stupid or not. We're talking about psychological health and psychological health and the ability to cope because let's just call it what it is, especially because of what we're seeing in modern society today. If Josh Gordon puts down the weed but picks up a gun and blows his own brain out, then people are going to say, well, why did you do that? And it's like, well, I struggled to find a way to cope, and so this is what I needed to cope: a bullet in my brain. Like it or not, Paul. Like it or not. And again, I don't like it. But again, we're talking about a person who lost a parent and then had to find out while doing press where she's supposed to be super professional. Because it's one thing to say, okay, and again, I mostly agree with you. But when you're talking about the human interest part of this, you want to talk about discipline. She's at the highest level of athletics, the highest level. So we're talking about somebody, no offense to you or me, but she is more disciplined than both of us put together. And the proof is in the pudding because she's one of the fastest, if not the fastest woman in the world. You don't get like that because, you're a lazy weed smoker who doesn't want to accomplish anything. We're talking about a person who lost a parent, something that I don't know a whole lot about, something that you, thankfully, don't know a whole lot about. And I think it's very difficult for me to say, well, I know how I cope. I should be the arbiter of how other people cope, and that's something that I've had to get off my high horse because I grew up.
But at the same token, we both dealt with loss on different levels, right? I'm not saying to that same degree, but I've definitely dealt with some loss in my own personal life. So you would
return me to my master in 1814?
Oh, sorry, just shorted. That was weird. What did you say? Sorry.
So you would return me to my master if you caught me out and about in the year 1814.
Yo,
it's not 2021. It's 1821. You return.
Yo, that is fucked
you
up.
return to me to my master if you see me out and about.
Listen,
you see me out and about, man. You see me out driving a 2018 Mercedes that hasn't even been invented yet. Hey, nigger.
Yo, but.
Oh man! This is what you call this is what you call black privilege. Because I could just, I mean, what the fuck? What the fuck could he say?
I can't. Well, dude, this is what I can say. So, no, there's different. Okay, that's where I
Blind Bat also makes a good point. Because the effect of marijuana and alcohol is the same, except that alcohol actually kills a lot more people.
Yeah, but like with my industry, right? It's a zero tolerance with alcohol, right? And you like to occasionally drink, and you just don't do it. I'm not trying to sound heartless. I understand the human aspect of it, but I do think I don't know, find other ways to cope, man. Or
maybe check this out. Quasi-Spec makes a really good point, a really, really good point. Because I forgot about the hemp thing. I forgot about the hemp thing. Because we're talking about non-ingestion, non-high type stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? You cannot uncouple the relationship between the criminalization of marijuana and the usage by minorities and I think that this is the most important thing, the defense of the market space of cotton from hemp. So we talked about this concept of, the FDA and different industry cartels trying to affect public opinion of certain things to protect their industry. We talked about this where the sugar cartel in the United States pointed the finger at fat
Right.
at fat as the reason why heart disease, and when it actually was the sugar was the problem. They actually commissioned studies to that they wanted to show that it was the fault of fats in your diet and not simple carbohydrates as a reason for the heart disease. So then, in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, it was all low fat this, no fat that. And then but then when you actually had studies done that were not paid for by an industry or an industry group, you found out that it was the mono and disaccharides that were causing heart disease and not dietary fats. And so we had all remember the whole trans fat ban in the late 1990s. We're talking about rules and laws that are made on faulty bullshit, right? So that's where that's the issue to have. Again, Paul, I agree with you 80%, because even if the rules are not good, if you sign on the dotted line, your word has to be your bond. Otherwise, what good are you to the world, no matter how fast you run?
Now, mind you, I'm not speaking like, oh, let's keep everybody in cages type shit, like, Hitler with the Jews,
sure?
or
Are you sure?
no,
because
but
that was a law too, sir.
There was a different, there's a different scope of responsibility. I'm sorry, like having a discussion, being like, oh, would you just like bring me back to my, what, 1800 of what the fuck? I can't say that shit, but compared to someone partaking in a substance they know is illegal by something they're gonna run. Like if she was the only pushback I'd have, let's say she took a hair follicle test, right? Like they don't do that obviously because it's for years and years in your system through your hair.
No, but let's say days. It's 30 days in your hair.
No, I thought it's about a couple of years.
No, it's 30 days.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
But anyways,
30 days.
I'm gonna put that threw me off because when I had to do it for a certain oil company, they said it does stay in your hair for a while. So like for like about a year.
I guess it depends on how long your hair is, right?
Yeah. I don't know. That's just all right. But anyways,
and shout out to O'Shea Duke Jackson. Miss Sha'Carri Richardson is weaving and sandaling it all the way up. Okay. A lot of that hair ain't real to begin with. So, right. But again, if she got to the track with pink eyeballs,
right? No. What I was gonna say is like I'd understand like if it was a year ago and somehow there was a test that popped up back then, right? But I'm sorry, like as an athlete, you should know when it's coming within a certain time frame. Like okay, like I can't be doing this shit. Like I don't know. I'm not trying to be cold-blooded. I'm just being like as a guy who
be cold-blooded. I just thought of LeBron James.
But as a guy who legitimately has to work in a field where I have to be clean all the time.
Oh yeah, so you're gonna be extra salty about that. Like why should Captain
Dude,
Paul
like
have to follow the rules?
Dude, I get drug tested at home, right?
Doesn't have to. I get that.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like I just feel like some of it's accountability. Like if I really wanted to be No, I'm gonna get. I'll get keel hauled. Go. You know what keel hauled is?
Talk to us about it.
Keel haul is like where so you get two lines, you put it underneath the vessel.
2 lines
and
of
you
cocaine?
No, like 2 lines of rope.
Talking about drugs, so.
I know. And you throw someone over the side, and then from the other side you pull them so they go underneath the keel, and like it kills them. It's actually what they used to do back in the Viking days and shit like that. If you were like didn't follow orders, they'd fucking kill you. Actually, they did that even in the Spanish and I think in the British Empire when they were like colonizing a lot of spaces. It's actually pretty cool. Not the practice. I'm just the history of it. Yeah, because the barnacles would actually like destroy you.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty vicious way to go. But yeah, I guess that's where my take is. I was just a very firm stance on it. So like I've had to be this way since I was like 18 because every single job I've done with the maritime is you have to be clean and you can't come to work drunk or you lose your license.
Right. Obviously, I mean, you can't be coming into work drunk anywhere. You go into work drunk at Foot Locker and you don't sell sneakers anymore. It's
exactly. Oh, and Dean, yeah, no, it was a form of punishment, but more likely than not, they would die because of the infection.
Oh, you get the infections, yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, later on. But yeah, it wasn't meant to like torture you. I mean, well, it was to torture you. I mean, kill you.
I mean, they didn't have Pfizer or Moderna back then, so
you know, 5G in the bloodstream, boys.
You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, the thing is that you and I, we don't disagree too much. You're more of like the letter of the law guy, and I'm more of a spirit of the law guy. And I think that Sha'Carri Richardson, if she was listening to this right now, she probably would agree with both of us because when you look at her response and her tweets and her messages that her comments made to the press, she said, I got to take responsibility. I got to take accountability. I did what I did, and I'm out, and hopefully I'll get to run. But they left her off the relay team, which to me doesn't make any goddamn sense. But again, what you're going to end up seeing in this situation is that Miss Richardson is going to end up being a martyr that is going to further tear down the federal ban on marijuana. And that's what's going to happen.
See, it's going to be interesting for my industry. Just a quick side note. I'm just because I'm a federal license. So, but I don't think they have like how at alcohol you have a certain percentile, like a 0.04 or 0.08
alcohol content, right?
I don't know if they have a test for that for weed, like where it could show like the recency in your.
Nigga,
you know what I mean?
Smell it. Can you smell it?
No, but they're going to need something tangible.
Are you blunted when you get on the boat? Are you blunted, sir?
No.
Okay.
Shit. Yeah.
Now, see, folks. You see, folks. Captain Paul is trying to set this shit up because you know what's going to happen. As soon as the federal ban on marijuana goes away, I'm going to be producing and hosting the show on my own because he's going to be too lazy to show up to do his co-hosting duties because he is going to be Talkin.
Nah, the only thing I'd
we're gonna call you Toki Wartooth,
bro. The only thing I'd be even interested in is because smoking in general just doesn't really appeal to me. Maybe edibles, but even I don't know. I kind of like feeling normal. I don't know how to put that. Just like I feel like I like being in control of my actions. That's actually why I don't even drink anymore. So just
how much did you drink when you drank?
Oof. Early college days, like handles of alcohol every like a night, and then I used to drink pretty heavy. So like it got to a point where like I wasn't Johnny Manziel. I'd do it like once or twice a week, but when I drank heavy, and then the other days I'd be kind of just
say Manziel.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're a savage. You just slipped it in there as if it's just normal conversation to name drop the guy as a pejorative. Wow.
Fuck.
Holy crap, man.
Dude, I just think this is the interesting part about this discussion is I am truly interested to see where this goes 5-10 years down the road because I don't think it's going to happen in a year.
5 or 10 months.
I don't know. Like, dude, politicians are so fucking useless in a lot of ways, and like,
Joe Biden is lighting up a doobie right now, preparing an executive order as we speak.
Bro, he's lighting up some dementia. That's about it. Like, I don't
know. Well, it helps him with the dementia. It helps him not feel bad about not knowing how to speak publicly anymore.
Bro, it's embarrassing, but whatever. But
I
yeah,
mean,
man, like,
you saw him fall up the steps to the airplane, right?
bro, like this is the one thing,
And you
man.
want to tell me he didn't get a little blunted,
You might have, bro.
a little
I
haze,
hope
a little
so,
purple
dude.
haze?
Is it fucked up? I kind of hope he was. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, it would
some
definitely
excuse.
make the presidency more interesting, because the way that the presidency was interesting the previous 4 years, that was bad interesting. Having Papa Joe or Uncle Joe, whatever the fuck they call him, just like sitting up there with the seal of the White House, and he just like completely fucking blunted, son. Just like, yo. I mean,
Yeah, dude.
it would be like the Dave Chappelle skits of him
Yeah,
being the president. You know what
yeah,
I'm
dude.
saying?
Like, dude, you know what my thing is though? Shit, he can't do that because Kamala would throw him in jail. No, wait, she wouldn't.
Oh
He's white.
man. Oh, that's
That's right.
right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's why that's not to go on this topic. That's one thing that pissed me off. Oh, I used to do this back in the day. I'm like, wait a minute, what? So you're
Yeah. Didn't she admit to smoking the reefer?
yeah, she did, and then she's like,
But
oh, like,
how many black families does she destroy? With
shit,
the incarceration of black men?
how many black dicks did she suck to get to the top? That's the true question.
Well, sorry, there's not that many black dicks at the top, so I'm pretty sure they're probably white dicks.
Was the mayor she worked for the one that she got sucked?
I mean,
his
the
dick?
guy that she's calling the first man, or the I don't know, the vice president's wife, husband, or whatever the fuck.
So
You know what I'm saying? He's got no melanin on his pee-pee.
so speaking of non-melanin, is
I wonder if she does give him that sloppy toppy.
probably not.
Do you
She
think
probably
that she's
teeth.
given-
Probably use teeth.
K.O. You lose.
Yeah, I'm sorry. She probably chomps it, but she doesn't know what to do with
She's chomping at the bit.
it. Yeah, so I'm kind of curious about because I have my take on this. But speaking of non-melanin, is like the whole Rachel Nichols thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so how well versed are you in that situation?
I have been paying a lot of attention. Shout out to the Bus Life, Kwame Brown, because the dudes that he was going at, like Steven Jackson, opened his mouth, and then 20 minutes later, reverse course. Okay,
Yeah.
so I know a lot about the subject.
So
I love how you said demonetized, because yes, we are going to be demonized for the state. Yeah.
So what do you think about what happened? Like you explain to the
give
audience.
your opinion first.
Well,
Because remember, this is a topic that I mean, I was probably
this is a topic
but
I'll be honest with you. This is how I look at it. I think first off, it's hilarious that it's happening to ESPN personally, because because out of all the companies that have done the most like virtue signaling, like over the top is them. And so it is kind of ironic in a way, because they're kind of getting called out on their own bullshit that they really don't give a fuck. That's one of my always stances. Like, don't pretend to don't think these people actually give a fuck, or these corporations give a fuck about you. You're just money to them. That's all. Don't pretend any different. So it was hilarious in a way, because they've got way too much into the personalities and got away from being interesting with their sports takes.
or just reporting the fucking news.
It's just reporting. Yeah.
News. Okay.
That's why you have YouTubers now
They're
taking
the
that
leftist
space.
Fox News of the sports industry. Really.
Yeah, they are. It's ridiculous, actually. But I think with the Nichols situation as a whole, so I listened to the tape, and I think the guy on the call sounded way worse than Nichols, because I can sympathize with her on the degree. It's like, yo, this isn't my contract. They're trying to take this from me. It's like expressly written in my contract. Now, if that's true, if that's in her contract, she can actually take them to court, and she could sue the shit out of them, because they're not honoring her contract that was signed on the fucking dotted line. I'll tell you how it is. This was definitely Maria Taylor. This was definitely released by her. This was an attempt for her to get more money from ESPN because her contract's coming up.
I disagree
And
with that.
I don't.
Because
I think
Maria Taylor would have had to have access to that, and
it was in
the
it was
hot
in the
mic that was caught. The hot mic that was caught was on new hardware that Rachel Nichols was using, but she didn't know the mic was on. There is no way that Maria Taylor even knows that that footage even exists unless somebody else who handled it saved it and it said, yo, I know where these bodies are buried.
But that's the thing, though.
Release it.
That's the thing, though. The person, they actually suspended the person that got caught releasing it. This was actually kind of known ESPN wide.
Yeah,
it was around the company.
Shoot the messenger.
The company was definitely like, it was spread around the company. So apparently a lot of people heard that the audio went around. So it wasn't like it just stayed within like that hardware or whatever. Apparently it got spread around ESPN according to reports. So a lot of people, like anchors, like they knew of the fucking footage. And some people, you know, they have their public.
To make a spread around joke.
Yeah, but like they had their public statement. Then some people actually have their, had their private statements. But I don't know. I think Maria Taylor's super talented. I don't know if you've actually seen her cover. Like she's very good. She's very good.
I don't watch ESPN anymore.
No, but she does sideline for like football and stuff like that.
I wouldn't know that.
Yeah, well, that's true. So, but she's very good at what she does because some people just aren't as quick-witted or just as good of a talker. But so I'll give her dues. But she apparently she was offered a certain contract by ESPN. I think it was like $4 to $5 million.
She was offered $5 million, but she said she wanted that blowhard money. How Stephen A. Smith? I remember when he signed a contract, I think for like $6 or $7 million, and now I'm hearing it's somewhere in the neighborhood of $12 million. Right now?
It is. It's $12 million. Well, this is the thing though. Maria Taylor is a very good sideline reporter, but she's not really a personality, right? So like Stephen A. Smith, let's not
How
get
long
twisted.
Has she been in the business?
She's pretty young, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So people are going to try to make it about the wage gap. Okay, as much as I hate Stephen A. Smith, and I have to say it that way because Stephen A. Smith is the single reason I do not watch ESPN anymore. Anytime I hear his voice, I change the channel. I don't want to hear the sound of his voice. I don't want to see his fucked up hairline. I don't want to hear anything he has to say about anything. But having said that, how long has he been in the industry?
Dude, a long ass time.
So no, Miss Taylor, you are not going to get Stephen A. dumbass money because you haven't been doing it as long. You're not as recognizable.
Yep, exactly.
And say what you want about Stephen A. And I can't stand him. Say what you want about Stephen A.
Even though you're channeling him.
Say what you want about Stephen A. But you will see him on TV, on set, with his fucking hairline slipping off of his forehead very early in the morning. And then you'll see him in the late morning. And then you'll see him in the afternoon. And then he's doing an ESPN radio show. And then he's on SportsCenter. And then he's probably saying something to Scott Van Pelt. The motherfucker works all day long. I can't wait for him to lose his voice permanently because he runs his fucking mouth. And he only knows what he's talking about approximately 11.7% of the time. Okay? So he's terrible, but ESPN seems to think that he's making money for them.
Oh, technically,
I mean, you got less viewers because of him, but if you make more money off of less viewers, then more power to you. You're certainly not going to get me to watch. Okay?
Well, this is where I'll push back on you just a slight bit on this is when it comes down to the money or the viewership. The reason why ESPN is actually having a trouble with viewership is like, you know how he has that show First Take? It used to be with Skip Bayless, like that format.
Right, and then it went to Max Kellerman. And I like Max Kellerman.
He's kind of a cuck. But anyways, I think like the problem is with First Take is every single fucking program beside that is exactly a debate show like First Take. There's no. That's why they hit such a like they got such the market hit because it's like if you turn on ESPN, there's literally either maybe you'll see Sports Center, but most likely it's going to be some talking head show, like a panel of different guys, like Pardon the Interruption, or which Pardon the Interruption been around for a while, and same with what's that show? Around the Horn.
I think Pardon the Interruption is just a discussion show. It's not really a debate show. Those guys work really, really well together.
No. But like I'm saying, I think like a couple of those are fine. And you're right. It's not really a debate show. I like Wilbon.
Around the Horn is supposed to be like a quasi game show.
But the thing is, every other show, like the Lebitar when he was there, and then
I loved
Jacoby and Jalen. Highly questionable, yeah.
Oh man, I loved that. I loved that show, and the reason I stopped watching that show is because of Stephen A. Smith is on ESPN, and I refuse to ever turn to the channel unless I'm forced to put on ESPN because the Knicks are not playing on MSG or the Mets are not playing on SNY. Those are the only reasons why I would go to ESPN, is if one of my local teams forces me to go to ESPN to watch my team.
No, and I think there was just an oversaturation
NBA
of
Finals
talking shows.
Is on Channel 7, not Channel 7, ABC.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been watching the NBA Finals. But as soon as, Mr. Crescent Moon, my hairline is back here, as soon as I see this area that has no hair on it, I change the channel. Right?
Yo,
I have this little radar, right? I have this radar, right? So, like, in order for me to keep it on the channel, right? All of this right here needs to be covered in hair. And if it isn't, if it's a black man and none of this is being covered by hair, I'm changing the channel. Like that.
Savage. No, but so getting on to the point though, I think with Maria Taylor is she was trying to leverage her way into a situation where she's like, oh, like let me try to get some leverage from ESPN. So if they don't give me this, they look racist.
No. You're trying to skirt the fucking issue. Say what you really want to say.
What?
What leverage? Let's go there, Paul. Let's go there. What is she trying to use as leverage to get Stephen A. Smith money when she does not have Stephen A. Smith cachet? She does not have Stephen A. Smith experience. She doesn't have Stephen A. Smith network. What is she? Why? What do you think that she believes?
Because she's a black female.
Right there. Right there. And this is where I'm going to take over this discussion a little bit, because I'm going to give you my opinion, and it's probably not what you think it's going to be. Okay? So all of you people who are easily offended and don't want to challenge me on it, you could probably click off right now because I'm going in. But for those who are not going to do that and you're not bitch-ass niggas, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, bit.ly/Talkin_SHT. Follow us on Twitter, Narcigram, and Twitch. If you're on YouTube right now, go give us a follow on Twitch so that we can reach partner status so that you guys can then give us a little bit of your hard-earned money. Okay? Talkin_SH_T. For you guys that want to hear us cover shit, Talking Shit Podcast LLC at gmail.com. And on most Saturdays when they're not featuring overt racists or men that almost beat their girlfriends to death, we do the Filthy Casual MMA Watch Party. We've got some exciting shit coming up for you guys on that end. Stay tuned. Okay? Now, and Quasi-Spec is very, very left. Okay? I'm just going to let you know that. Okay? Quasi-Spec says Media tends to be a particular situation, but is she doing the same job as what's his fuck? The answer is absolutely not.
No.
Okay? Now, Quasi-Spec is a leftist, okay? Me, I'm like neutral, but I lean left.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, there's an article, and I don't really feel like pulling this up on the screen. This article is from CNBC, another leftist publication, okay? And this is what, this is the issue that I have with leftists. What happens when your arbitrary high horse starts to conflict with other elements of your arbitrary high horse because you think that you guys are the gold standard of ethics? What happens when one bit of your ethics clashes with another part of your ethics? What ends up happening is the left starts eating its own. So, I'm going to read the comments that Nichols actually made because it's here in this article. Okay? This is what she says. If you need to give her more things to do because you are feeling pressure about your crappy, long-time record on diversity, which, by the way, I know personally from the female side of it, like, go for it. Because, you know, we should have more women taking high-level jobs from men when it comes to men's sports. You know, the only sports people actually watch, right? We should have women being sideline reporters instead of men that actually know the sport and have actually played the sport at the high level that is being commentated on. See, but we don't want to talk about that.
Nope.
Right? We don't want to talk about that. But there needs to be diversity, even though all the people achieving stuff, the only reason why ESPN survives is on the backs of the exploits of male athletes. I'll say it for you one more time. The only reason ESPN exists today is on the backs of the exploits of male athletes. If you had just women's sports and went to put that shit on TV, the network wouldn't even get approved to launch because there's no money in it. So if you want to talk to me about all this diversity shit, well, give me some diversity in the NBA. Show me a woman playing at a high level who's going to dunk on LeBron. And then, you know what? Rachel Nichols, you stand right there on that sideline. But I do know that there are former NBA players that know the NBA game better than Rachel Nichols. See, this is what we're talking about when, you know, you get what I'm saying? Like, you know, like, you get where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah, I get what you're going.
So you, as a white woman, because now I'm going to take it there for you, Miss Nichols. I'm going to take it there for you.
You said Miss Nipples.
I said Nichols. But you heard nipples because that's the only thing we really care about. See, we don't care about what women's nipples do in pro sports. All right, so, you know, so now, you know, you want to talk about diversity because that's, you know, also some nepotism because from what I hear, she got her job because of who she married.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But now you're going to complain about a woman using the very vehicle you used to take a job away from a man that knows NBA basketball better than you. And I dare somebody tell me that Rachel Nichols knows more about the NBA game than a former NBA player. I fucking double dog dare you. Come to me with that shit. But she's still there, front and center for ESPN. right?
Well, yeah, but the thing is with sideline reporters, just call it how it is, bro. They're just
But
pretty things to look at. But continue.
and I don't have a problem with that.
Mm.
But if that is how you made your money, Miss Nichols, then you know what? You know what you have to say to Maria Taylor? You tip your cap or your wig or whatever, right? You tip your cap and say, well played. I'm going to fall back because I used my protected social standing, you know, with me having a vagina to get this super high paying job talking about a sport that I never played at this level. And now you are going to usurp me along the same lines. Miss Nichols, or, you know, according to Captain Paul, Miss Nipples, hold the fucking L. It's Maria Taylor's time. Because you used your vagina to get where you're at. Well, now she's using her melanated vagina to do it. You should be congratulating her. Because otherwise, you sound like a fucking hypocrite. This is a quote from Rachel Nichols, folks. This is a quote. Okay? You know, like, go for it. Just find it somewhere else. You are not going to find it from me or taking my thing away. But you took somebody else's thing away and you were cool with it.
Can I just
say,
but
now they come after your shit.
This is just because she's a big leftist. This is just leftist. This is a very average leftist, though.
I don't know. It sounds quite white supremacist to me.
No, it sounds very leftist. Oh, you're right. So very leftist to me. I think, honestly, bro. Are you surprised? Like, they were like, oh, like, you got to take they got to give up your jobs. Like, if it's their job, they say no. So just think about it. Every single big liberal, especially these feminists, right? Oh, like, yeah. Like, you know, oh, wait. So, like, are you going to give a person, like a woman of color, that chance? Your job? Are you going to give her that job? And then they're going to be like, no, everyone else's job but mine. That's the single fallback they have. It's just hilarious. It's amusing to me to see, like, because she's been known as like this big like lefty, so I kind of laugh. I'm like, yo, it's so funny. It's so funny to see the left eat their own because they do it all the time. It's just
and that's what you're
great.
seeing here, and that is what you're seeing here. Like, you were all for diversity, Miss Nichols, until it got a little too diverse for you.
When shit got a little too real. When keeping it real went wrong.
Goes wrong. When keeping it left goes wrong. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, there are you know, large parts of leftist ideology that I agree with in principle. A lot of it I don't agree with it in practice. Okay, because a lot of it's not practical. But this is one of those ways. You know, you're talking about diversity. Well, the thing is, if you want more diversity in the sports that people actually care about, then you're going to have to perform better.
Yeah.
Miss Nichols, we need you to have a background as an NBA player. And I need you to be good enough, and I need you to be strong enough to actually have a resume where you played in the NBA. That is my opinion. Okay? Because why should you stand there on the sidelines talking about NBA basketball when there are thousands of NBA basketball players who there are thousands of NBA basketball players who have a much better inside knowledge of the game, better than you could ever have. I just don't understand that. So we're going to get into this Mendelssohn comment, because you said something about it being bad. Can you give me your opinion? Do you want me to actually relate the quote first? Sure. Okay.
Sure.
What's his name? Is his name Tim? Adam.
Timothy.
Adam Mendelssohn, who I guess is in LeBron James' camp.
Oh yeah,
he is quoted as saying,
yeah.
"I don't know. I'm exhausted. Between hashtag I as well and BLM, I've got nothing left." Okay, and then they're trying to ding her for laughing at the comments. What was your opinion of what he said?
Kind of corny. You know what I mean? Because it's like, how do I put this? Is it kind of like so what did he say? So I know it was the BLM and what else though? What did he say?
And hashtag I as well. We're talking about Weinstein.
How
Weinstein.
Yeah.
Quasi-Spec
how is that
has an interesting. He has an interesting. I know damn well Paul doesn't know the difference between leftists and liberals, but I still feel the need to point out that they are not the same. Well, you're gonna have to educate both of us because I know that they are. Well, liberal, yeah, he's actually right. Now that I think about it, yeah, leftists are like, eat the rich, give to the poor, and liberals are like, we should be allowed to do anything and say anything unless it's something that disagrees with what we think, and then in that case it should be banned. That's my summation of it.
So leftist, liberal, it's kind of hard to admittedly in this and I'm exhausted, so I apologize for a lot of it, but I do remember a certain definition off the top of my head, but was it?
But Mendelssohn, your opinion.
Mendelssohn, yeah, sorry, Mendelssohn. He I guess like because what did he say, it was tiresome or something? Like I don't.
You said I got it's so yeah. You said between I as well and BLM, like I'm exhausted between those things.
But why are you exhausted? But why are you exhausted? Does it affect you? You know what I'm trying to say?
Well, I'm gonna actually defend him. I'm gonna defend his comments.
Okay.
Because I've been saying this since before Donald Trump ended up in the White House.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Every single time somebody says something that you disagree with, and the next word out of your mouth is bigot, mansplaining, misogyny. Anytime somebody disagrees or criticizes you for anything that you do or say, and that's the first word out of your fucking mouth, people get tired of that over time. Being hit with the same buzzwords. Anytime you're having a discussion on a subject where we're exchanging ideas and you go to the least honest, the least intellectually honest, the most intellectually lazy, oh, well, you're just a bigot. Oh, well, you're just an ophobe. You got to use the sign language. Shame, insults, guilt, and the need to be right. Shout out to Kevin Samuels. Okay? They got to resort to that when they can't win the fucking argument because the shit they're saying doesn't make any fucking sense. So if you are Mr. Mendelssohn, and then you have to make sure that you make no jokes, you have to make sure you can't say anything about anything not related, because otherwise some woman is going to be offended and now your whole livelihood is gone. Or if you criticize a black person for literally anything as a white man, a straight white man, automatically now we're looking at you losing your job. Right? And you, for the last 5 or 6 years, there's this whole thing with trying to silence the voice of the straight white male through sign language, shames, insults, guilt, the need to be right.
100%.
Even when you're fucking wrong, you still need to be right. This guy has had a muzzle. This guy has not said anything that he has actually thought and felt in several years. That's fucking tiring. It is exhausting.
Okay, so when you look at, I get where you're coming from. I guess for me, I just don't. I say what I want to say, and then, certain issues aren't going to necessarily, if people feel, how would I put this, persecuted against or discriminated against.
Right.
It doesn't, like, I'm not gonna get tired of that. I understand where people will have their word to say, right? I do agree. I think it's spread to the point where guys like that are like white straight, like, oh, you're just a cis white male. I'm like, what the fuck? What?
Yeah, like what? How is that a pejorative?
It's fucking I gotta watch myself. Don't want to get banned here. So it's very fucking stupid.
Yeah, because I'll be banning you.
Yeah. So like, it's very, very, very fucking stupid. And also just like as a quick side note, because I kind of want to touch upon that topic because so the leftist versus liberal thing, right? Because I was kind of screaming for my phone as well because I'm a little out of it.
Okay.
There's very different definitions, like from different websites or even educational pieces. I guess, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think leftist is more of like more to, I think it's more to the extreme where it's like they want less separation from the rich and the poor. Like they want it to be like not exactly communist,
right,
but pretty much close to it. Which I'd actually even have to argue that a lot of current leftists right now are more communist than leftists, in my opinion. So just with some of their viewpoints, I'll have discussions with friends that are like, Democrats, but like when they talk, I'm like, bro, you do understand that's like some shit they used to do back in the day in like Russia or any type of big socialist country.
You know what the problem that I've had with socialism? Is the same problem that I have with capitalism. They've both been warped in a way to keep all of the power and the resources consolidated at the top by a very small amount of people. Because even these so-called socialist and communist nations, right, like Russia or
China.
Cuba, I mean, you have people in the streets right now in Cuba. The people at the top are the ones that are living high off the hog. Right? So you can't tell me that you're a full communist or you're a full socialist when you look at these socialist countries. I think North Korea is another one. You have a fat dictator at the top and everybody else is starving. Don't talk to me about socialism because that's not real socialism, right? Real socialism would be if I produce this amount for this amount of work, then I should be compensated equal to the amount of work that I put out. Right? That would be true socialism. And I have not seen any socialist nation actually achieve that, where everybody who has worked as hard as they can are duly rewarded for their work.
Right.
And in capitalism, obviously, we know that also is not the case because you can say, well, the guy that holds the capital holds the power. But then when people save up their capital and then they try to exercise the power that capital is supposed to have, you've got the Apples and the Googles and the Amazons of the world that are using their position to try to buy legislation to keep competition out of the market. So don't talk to me about a free market. Don't talk to me about capitalism if you don't want to compete.
But the problem is in today's modern government, they don't enforce monopoly laws anymore.
Nope.
They don't.
Nope.
And that's a big problem.
Why do you think we need right to repair?
Right. Well, that's why I think we need to get back to.
Shout out to Louis Rossmann. Louis Rossmann thought he failed. Louis Rossmann thought he failed. And Louis Rossmann did not fail. He's got Joe Biden talking about right to repair. I wanted to make sure I got that shout out. Shout out to Louis Rossmann. Louis Rossmann has been fighting for your right to own the shit you paid for. Again, we're talking about capitalism.
Right. Well, and I think, and definitely congrats, because I think it was well. But I think with the scope of this conversation is that they have no longer enforced their monopoly laws. But I'll say this: I'll take current day capitalism over current day socialism, because I feel like there's more level of success in a capitalist society.
And the numbers don't bear that out to be true at all. The numbers show that to be absolutely false. The thing is, we have more people living in poverty than before. We have a higher concentration of wealth being consolidated amongst a smaller and smaller amount of people. Capitalism does not work for the nation. It only works for the 0.0005%. It's working for them. It's not working for us. And Paul, I have to say this to you specifically. As hard as you work, when you said you make what, $30 or $40 an hour?
Like 40, I'd have to check, but I know I make like just a hair shy, like about 95 a year.
For as hard as you work, 12-hour days, 14 days straight, not seeing your family, being on a boat under those conditions, you are wildly underpaid, sir. Every one of you on that boat, wildly underpaid. Wildly. You're doing your best to try to carve out a life for yourself, but you are not getting what the market demands that you should get for your work and your efforts. Capitalism doesn't work for more than 99% of us, and we're in the richest company in the world, the richest country in the world.
But wouldn't you say the same thing when you have these, excuse me, dictators or even just like presidents, quote unquote, that take over, become socialists, and then it becomes red lines,
but they're
poverty.
not really socialists. Why? Because their setup is the exact same. Because remember, we're not talking about concepts. We're talking about actually in practice. When you look at the ruling, let's take North Korea for example. When you look at the socialism, the People's a Workers' Party. They actually call themselves the Workers' Party. The workers are starving.
Yeah.
Do you know what the ruling? We're talking about the top military commanders, the top ruling, the president and his family or whatever. We're talking about a super poor nation, but do you know how much wealth they hold?
Like all of it for their country.
Like almost 100% of it. It is a very small amount of people that hold all the resources while everybody else is miserable just trying to scrape together an existence. How is that any different than the United States? Where
vastly different.
I'm about to put it in perspective for you. Over there, they're trying to sell you on the bullshit lie that everybody is on the same level over there. And over here, they're trying to sell you on the bullshit lie that anybody could be part of the 1%. Well, if anybody could be part of the 1%, they wouldn't be the 1%. There is a reason. See, the thing is, if they didn't rig the game, if they did not rig the game in favor of the people who are already wealthy, I would not be making this argument. But when you look at the laws that have been made, when you look at the lobbyists, who they are paid by, and the politicians who do their bidding.
But see, this is where I think the problem becomes, where money has gotten its way in politics, where you have these special interest groups buying off politicians from both parties, and that's a greater discussion. But
guess what? You got the mega rich funding both parties. All right, so let's go to quasi-spec right here. I would say that you might be missing some nuance on what socialism is. Like we have minimum wages, social security, regulation, etc. in the U.S. Is that capitalism? No, it's socialist policy mixed in with the same hierarchical neoliberal structures that still funnel the benefits of our production away from the people doing the work towards the people that have financial and political power. So socialism is, I guess, what quasi-spec is saying. In quasi-spec, you can definitely correct me if I'm misrepresenting you. The socialism part, the leftists, you know, the liberalism and the socialism are not the same, because we're talking about economic policy specifically. When you're talking about socialism, you're talking about an economic framework to work from, right? This is not about who uses what bathroom and who plays women's sports, right? That would be some liberal shit, right? But the socialism part of it would be, we have these safety nets to make sure that even though we have the cronyism and the wealth concentrated at the highest levels, that we don't have people dying in the streets of hunger and homelessness, like at the very bare minimum. And that's where I sit. As far as the way that I believe socialism, I think that there should be a mix of capitalism and socialism, because like it or not, capitalism fuels innovation, because if people know that if they have the next greatest idea, and they can get paid handsomely for it, then people are going to keep trying to make great ideas. But at the same time, people that work hard should be able to have a life, and they shouldn't have to drill themselves into the ground in order to have a life, right? So while I don't think that somebody who is, selling books at Barnes and Noble, I don't think that they should be able to go to work in a Mercedes S class, right? I don't think that they should be like wealthy off of, working the register at Barnes and Nobles. I also don't think that they should have to pay more in rent than they get paid to work, because, again, and I've said this on Black Power Magic Hour. I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. Everybody knows that when you go to buy from vendors to support your business, the vendor sells you the materials you need to run your business at a certain price, and then when you agree to that price, you pay the vendor. But these companies seem to understand that that's the cost of doing business, is to make sure that you have the materials necessary to run your business. When it comes to the people that power your business, all of a sudden, they don't want to pay. All of a sudden, no. No, if you want this person to use their life force, because their life force is finite, if you want them to use their life force to fund your attempts to get rich, then you need to at least bankroll their ability to get back to you, to use their life force for you. You need to make sure that you bankroll them enough to be able to get back to you to help you grow your business. So, and if you don't have enough capital, capitalism says if you don't have the capital to do business, you should not be doing business.
So, because I hate to say this, I'm kind of fading because it's been a long day. But
I know you're crashing.
So this is the one thing, because I think this would be better to have when I'm home, so we can actually have a really cognitive conversation with it.
We're going to talk about it all.
So this is the thing. As for social security, and a few of the other benefits you've talked about, and I'm going to be kind of crazy for this. I wish I didn't have to opt into it. Personally, I wish I didn't have to pay for it. I don't believe that I should be giving the government any of my hard-earned money. Personally, that's my viewpoint on it. I think I've even told you that. I think.
But you do like to have paved roads, though.
Do they really pave them? Like, I guess one of my biggest problem with a lot of the taxes that we go forth with is that, at least in Rhode Island, because Rhode Island's had a lot of corruption, is that I'm paying this certain amount of tax per year, and it turns out they're funneling or saving or storing the money laundering it to themselves, these politicians, to other groups. So
especially with this so-called military industrial complex, a lot of the money that they spend yearly on agents of death to try to kill that money could be used many times over to make sure that every road is paved, that every child is fed, that every American is housed. But yet they take all of that money so that they can create more and more destructive means of destroying the world and the human life on it.
So
if our taxes went to where they were supposed to go, back to the people, I don't think that you would have as much of a problem with paying taxes.
Well, the thing is, if it fell under the actual way it was supposed to be used, I'd be kind of fine with it, right? But I do think, as an American or as somebody who busts their ass, right, I should be able to dictate. Okay, like I want, like let's say 30 to make the math easy. Let's say you get taxed 30, right? Just 30 even. But you could choose where you want certain percentiles to be put.
Oh, that would be gangster, yo.
So, like, that'd be something I'd even be more along the lines with. I have no trust in the government, because it gets irksome to me when you have these people taking recesses. Excuse me. Like, taking recesses, taking breaks, or, like, they'll get into, like, political stalemates, right? When people are starving at home, right? And that's where my thing is, like, that's why I believe in just less government as a whole. I would rather govern myself and figure out my own financial situation individually. And that's kind of my take on it, because I truly can't trust a system that has been proven time and time again, regardless who runs the government, regardless what party. They're inept, or they're not necessarily even inept. They're just
I think they're
malicious.
intentionally inept.
Yes, they're malicious in their actions, where they're not truly looking out for the best in you. That's why
They're
I don't
looking out
believe
for
in
themselves.
exactly. I'm sorry. Yeah, looking out for themselves, because that's why I don't believe in. So I don't believe in this overarching super like power to dictate my day to day operation. Right. To be fair, even today, you could say, like, in our country, like, you kind of dictated how to live your life, and that's why actually I have a big problem with how you have, like you said, we have a big monopoly problem that no politician has the balls to fucking stand up and say anything, and I think it's fucking cowardly. But that being
Every
said,
time we have a massive monopoly problem in our country, we get a lot of violent unrest. If you go back to the turn of the 20th century, again, William McKinley was assassinated during that period of time. And, part of, the issue with him is that William McKinley bent over to the monopolies of that day. In fact, he let the big three, bank, iron, and oil,
it was
let them
Carnegie.
bankroll his entire presidential campaign, which cost, in those old dollars, $150,000. Like, if you extrapolated that money today, we're talking about tens of millions of dollars to pay for the entire campaign to get him in there. So after he was assassinated, the president that succeeded him, Theodore Roosevelt, who wanted to be, he wanted to bust up the monopolies, that ended up happening. And that's why you have the, hey, we got to buy the lawmaker thing, because before they tried to buy the president.
Well, and it was funny because
the president gets shot, then what do you do?
Because
you're not protected anymore.
Because back in those days, is that the vice president role was looked as like a joke, right? Like they usually
that was the first loser. That was
exactly. So they look at so they usually the excuse me, the president would take the guy who lost to him as his VP, and so it was kind of interesting how that kind of panned out. It actually bit him in the ass. But you're going to have a politician who really doesn't give a shit, has zero connections, which is pretty much impossible in these days with how super PACs and special interest groups run a lot of these politicians.
It sounds nefarious. Super PACs.
Yeah. So I'll just be honest, man. Like, I just think you're gonna have somebody come in with a big old dick, swing that shit around, and be like, "Fuck you,
yeah,
fuck
but then they
you,
get assassinated.
Fuck you." Well,
they would get assassinated.
Yeah, they'd get Clinton. It's just it's not fucking worth it, bro. It's just not worth it. But
Blind Bat is retiring Captain Paul for the evening. And I want to thank Captain for joining us. I know it's the end of a long work day, and of course the discussion always goes to some other tangent, but by and large, Captain and I mostly agree on the Sha'Carri Richardson issue, but at the same time, I think that you're starting to see the tide turning towards acceptance of marijuana, and I think that it's time to stop the fear mongering surrounding it. It is not a performance enhancing drug. If anything, it'll make her run slower. Let her smoke that shit if she wants to, okay? And somebody else will win, okay? But when it comes to the Rachel Nichols thing, this is what happens when the left starts eating themselves, okay? It's kind of like when I got to hear about how we're all supposed to love people who cut their genitals off and then say that there's something else, and then when they start taking your job, when they start supplanting you, all of a sudden now we're erasing women from history. But weren't you just supporting all of that? Now you mad, okay? As far as Mendelssohn's comments, I don't have a problem with his comments. I've been saying this for far too long, and people, you need to start paying attention, because when guys say things like this, see, people are mad at him because he said it. But the thing is, there is a large swath of straight white men throughout the country who feel this way, and they are making moves behind the scenes to your detriment. So you need to get down off that weird ass high horse. You need to start treating them the way that you want them to treat you, because they're not saying it in public. Remember that was a hot mic that they didn't know was on. He thought that he was behind closed doors. She thought that they were behind closed doors and in private. Those people are making moves to your detriment behind the scenes while you're focusing on, they said the words that offended me. How about you quit the Victim Olympics? How about you quit? You retire from that. You come to the table. We start having discussions on what true equity in society actually means and how everybody can benefit from it. Because our economy loses trillions of dollars because of racism. Racism actually costs our economy large sums of money every year because we don't give the chances to the people who are best suited to do what they're supposed to do, because we have these weird, remnants of racist systems past that still live on today. So if we really want to get out ahead of this and we want to stop feeling like we're going to be attacked or this, that, or the third, then we need to all come to the table and we need to have these discussions like we do right here on the Talking Shit podcast. Until the next time, peace. We'll see you on the next episode.